another nice cloudless blue sky, this time in West Wales. I'm located at the moment at a small airfield of Pembrey. It's about 60-70 miles west of Cardiff on the coast. I'm going to use this airfield as the base for a takeoff and flight around the southwest coast of Wales, primarily around the Pembrokeshire area. So I will check the fuel, do all the pre-flight checks and taxi out to runway 22 so that we will take off over the sea. Now I'm turning to the west now, and behind me is the town of Cathedral, and slightly to my right on the far side of the wing and up the river is the town of Carmarthen. So I'm now heading west over Carmarthen Bay. Once again, we follow the river to the right, then we would end up at the town of Cardigan, which is approximately 6 miles or so from where I am at present. If I followed the river that is now ahead of the aircraft, I would reach a small town of St Clair's. But I'm going to turn left here and follow the coast along the southern edge to a small place called Pendine. Now at low tide here, the stretch of shoreline below the aircraft, known as Pendine Sands, is an incredibly long straight stretch of hard sand, and it has been used for land speed records. There is a museum at the town or village of Pendine, which is at the end of this straight stretch of beach where it meets the cliffs. There's a museum there dealing with the record attempts that have been made over the years. So we'll just follow this now as far as Pendine. I'm cruising along at the moment, as you can see, at 1,800 feet. Hopefully this will give us a nice view of the coastal features as we pass over the main points of Pembrokeshire. So the small town of Pendine is now below the aircraft. It is still possible to drive your car down onto the sands here at low tide, and actually I first drove a car on those sands with an uncle of mine in his Volkswagen Beetle PUH 953. I can even remember the registration number. So we're now over Pendine. Now this bay in front of us stretches all the way around to the far left tip, at which point is the town of Tenby. And all the way along this bay here are a number of beaches which are very popular with tourists in the South Wales area in particular, because they're very easy to access from South Wales. As I say, we are at approximately 70-80 miles from Cardiff at this point, and when we reach Tenby we shall be about 100 miles west of Cardiff. We're now near Aberporth. Under the right wing now is Wiseman's Bridge, and just ahead of the aircraft, underneath the nose now as I turn, is Saundersfoot. Now ahead of the aircraft is Tenby. Tenby has two beaches, South Beach and North Beach as they are called. We are now over South Beach. The town of Tenby is just in front of the aircraft. If you follow that headland all the way around, there is a lifeboat station at the head of that headland. So the beach that I'm now over is South Beach. Then the town of Tenby, and ahead of the aircraft now is North Beach. North Beach, as you can see, is a nice long stretch of soft sand. And as I turn the aircraft now, I will be overflying the little port of Tenby and the lifeboat station, which you can just make out now underneath the tail of the aircraft, with its slipway into the sea. Now directly ahead of the aircraft is a small island, Caldey Island. This has a monastery on the island, and the monastery is particularly famous for making mead out of the honey that the monks make out of their beekeeping activities. So this is the island of Caldey. We're now just about to overfly the monastery. Boats operate little ferry services between Tenby and Caldy Island in the season. Quite a pleasant little island to spend a few hours on. I'm now turning to overfly the beach at Lidsden. All these regions very popular, of course, holiday makers. Lots of caravan sites and holiday homes in this area. So this is the beach at Lidsden. As I turn left, we're over Manabere. Lots of lovely little bays and coves in this area, not all of which are easy to get to. You often need to park a car and be prepared to walk a while, but then you can get a very lovely little beach, sometimes almost all to yourselves. The beach now just ahead of the aircraft is Stackpole, and the headland is known as Stackpole Head. Okay, I'm now going to turn the aircraft to the right, and we're going to head across this particular part of the coast, and we're going to head for Pembroke Dock and Milford Haven. Those two towns are in the estuary that you can see just ahead of the aircraft now. Okay, we're now over the area of Pembroke, and the town just in front of the nose of the aircraft is Nayland. So the town below is Pembroke, the town ahead is Nayland. There's a small bridge that crosses the river here, and then I'm going to make a left turn towards Pembroke Dock. I'm now turning over Pembroke Dock. This is Pembroke and Pembroke Dock. Pembroke Dock has a ferry service between here and Ireland, and the port in Ireland to which it goes is Rosslare, which is not far north of Cork. So this is Pembroke Dock. Now this area also has a very large oil and petroleum importation dock, and that is at Milford Haven. So on the opposite side of the river from Pembroke Dock is Milford Haven, with all its various oil installations and docks to handle the very large ships that come into this port. Over recent years they have introduced compressed gas container ships coming in here, and there is an underground pipeline that runs all the way from Milford Haven to Gloucestershire, which is approximately 150 miles from here. So the large ships come into this port, discharge their gas under pressure as liquid gas, and it is then discharged into this new huge pipeline. The town of Milford Haven is now below the aircraft. This is one of the world's largest and deepest natural harbours. And obviously that's why it was selected for such activities. Again, as you can see, this headland, lots of lovely little bays and coves, very well worth exploring. So I'm going to turn to my right now and head up to Broadhaven. The whole of this coastline has lovely little bays and coves, very well worth exploring. Some are very popular, some are hardly known. The bay ahead is known as St Bride's Bay. At the southern end, where we are now, is Little Haven. Just ahead of that is Broadhaven. Under the nose now is Little Haven. coast now is Broadhaven. Now as I make a gentle left turn, you can see a large straight beach ahead of the aircraft. That is Newgale. In a recent winter we had some of the most severe storms in the UK for many years, and this beach was more or less destroyed. The high tides, high winds and incredible waves threw rocks and pebbles and destroyed the road, and it was quite an amazing thing to be seen. So approaching Newgale now, long stretch of beach just in front of the instrument panel. The main road here comes just by the tail of the aircraft now, down that hill, all the way along the coast there, just literally 100 yards or so from the water's edge, and it then climbs up a little hill at the underneath the aircraft now, makes its way slightly to my right. I'm now following the road, and at the top of the hill is this RAF station, RAF Brawdy. Okay, we will make a left turn over RAF Brawdy, and we will follow the coast to the pretty little town of St David's. So this is Brawdy. And we will now follow this headland to the tip, where we will come to the town of St David's. The island in the distance just ahead of the aircraft is Scenic Island, and that is a wildlife sanctuary. Lots of seabirds there, sometimes seals, and now we are over the town of St David's. This is a pretty little town, and it has the rather interesting fact that it has the smallest cathedral in Wales located in the town. It's in the hollow just below the aircraft nose now. So leaving St David's behind, we shall now head more or less north, and we shall head towards the port of Fishguard. As we fly up this part of the coast, I'll descend to around 1,000 feet and hopefully get some nice views of the cliffs as we pass. Okay, now we shall climb again to around 1,800 feet, and the headland in front of me is known as Strumble Head. Now approaching Strumble Head, nice cliffs around this particular headland. And we shall make a gentle turn towards Fishguard. the port of Fishguard now coming into view at the other side of Strumble Head. There are ferry services again from here, from West Wales to Ireland, and they generally run between Fishguard and Rosslare, again near Cork. The crossing time from here is around 4 hours. These ferry services from here are operated, I believe, by Irish ferries. So this is the port of Fishguard. Now, as you can see, this coastline runs for hundreds of miles and it zigzags in and out to beautiful little coves and bays, and is a very, very picturesque area of Wales. We will now proceed further up the coast as far as Cardigan. We've now reached the area known as Pendine Sands. This is where the River Tenby enters the Irish Sea, and if we follow the River Tenby back, we will come to Cardigan. Cardigan's Welsh name is Aberporth, which means mouth of the Tenby. So we are now over the town of Cardigan. Two bridges that cross the River Tenby at this point. Cardigan. Now, it must be pretty obvious that the coast of Wales goes on for hundreds and hundreds of miles. We could follow this coast now all the way up to the previous video which showed the Snowdonia region of North Wales. But for the purpose of this particular video, I shall follow it just as far as Aberporth, and there is a small airfield at Aberporth, and that will make a convenient stop. So I am now approaching the coast at Aberporth, and we will turn over Aberporth, and the airfield is just to the right of the aircraft. So it's just a very small airport, and this is only around about 10 miles or so from Cardigan. So I shall circle and land at Aberporth. This is the beach area at Aberporth. There was actually a rocket development facility here. Don't know whether it's still there. It's been a long time since I've been to the area. So I'm now going to circle and make a landing at Aberporth. A gentle descent, around 1500 feet now. Runway now to the right of the aircraft, and I shall make a circle and land in a northerly direction. I'm now flying parallel to the airport, make my final turn and land. Aberporth, West Wales. Well, welcome to Aberporth. I hope you enjoyed your little tour of just some of the area of West Wales, which is renowned for its beautiful beaches, lovely little towns, and it's well worth a visit if you're ever in this area of the world.